Welcome back to another Millennial in Debt video. If you are new here, hit that subscription button below and turn on the notification bell so you get every single time I upload a video. Today, this video is going to be for my teachers, a question that I get a lot, especially on Instagram, which if you're not following, you know what to do. You know where the link is at. A lot of times teachers are asking me about career shifts, or they still want to use their degrees in education and they still want to use a lot of the skills and techniques that they know and that they've learned, especially if they've had long-term careers as teachers, but they no longer want to be a teacher in the classroom, right? Not everyone wants to jump into tech or jump into a completely different industry, which I 100% understand. So this video is for y'all, my true fam, my peoples. Okay, so we're gonna be going over 7 different jobs or 7 different careers that you can have with your experience in education, but not be in the actual classroom. So let's get right into it. So the first 2 suggestions that I'm going to make oftentimes get a little bit confusing. So I'm going to try to clarify the differences between them and explain what you're going to need and talk about the average salary. The average salary, every time I bring these up, I want to make sure that you understand it's average based off of the 50 states. So if you are looking in New York, you'll tend to see that starting salary is a little higher, but that's not going to be the case in the other 49 states. So please, when I give you that number, it's literally just a number I have researched and found to encapsulate, yes, all 50 states. So the first 2 suggestions are going to be instructional designer and a curriculum designer. So that's 1 and 2. Both of these positions make on average starting around $60,000 a year, and they are different. I was the curriculum developer in my school, my last school that I worked in, and I loved it. So we'll start with there. Curriculum developers technically work with a bunch of different schools in the area or a bunch of different schools in the district. It's a little different in New York, but we'll speak from a more general sense, right? So the curriculum developer, they have teaching experience. Usually to be a curriculum developer, you're going to need a master's degree in some sort of education and have some sort of certification or specialty, right? But if you obviously were a teacher, you usually will fit the bill, trust me. And when you are developing curriculum, you are trying to figure out the needs of children, right, of the students, but you're also trying to make sure that you are aligning with the state standards. And so that is why it's very difficult sometimes, because for an instructional designer, they need to make sure they're following the state standards, but they are kind of coming up with them more day to day. A curriculum designer, a curriculum developer is not going to come up with your daily lessons or your daily activities. They're going to come off with more of a looser idea of what the year should look like and the standards that you are going to be hitting throughout the year. So for example, if there are 10 main standards, a curriculum designer would potentially have those 10 standards. My apologies, my dog decided to be a dog and bark, right? So an instructional designer is going to be the one coming up with the activities, your day-to-day lessons. That is also going to be bringing you around $60,000 a year with obviously potential to grow. Curriculum and instructional designers in New York make a lot more money, so it's very surprising that the average is so low. But if it's something that you are interested in, you love creating I'll just say content. Well, you are kind of creating content. If you love creating lesson plans and unit plans for day to day, then you want to make sure that you look into instructional design. If you like more of the overall arching ideas, the big concepts, the big ideas, the big standards that the student should be hitting, then you want to look into curriculum development. The next suggestion is going to be a standardized test developer. And so they make a little more, they make around $65,000 on average. And what you're doing, exactly what it sounds like, you're going to be a part of creating the exams that are like the end goal or the end of the curriculum that is going to test and see if your students have met, or the students, well, your students, if your students have met their benchmarks that they're supposed to meet, right? So if it's supposed to be the 4th grade standardized test, the 6th grade, 8th grade, whatever it is, you would be a part of creating that. And obviously you would have to really know the curriculum really well in order to implement questions and, different things that would meet those requirements of standardized tests. You technically would work with your, as I say, borough, but not everyone lives in New York. You would be working with your district in order to create these standardized exams, unless it's something like, which I don't even know if those exist anymore, where it's like a comparable to an SAT. I don't think we have standardized tests that are comparable like that, maybe AP exams, but you would essentially be creating it for your district. Our next suggestion is going to be educational educational consultant. Educational consultants will work with different schools for their needs depending on the district. I know educational consultants make a ton of money out in New York, because when they would come and do PDs and I would discuss, because I'm never too shy to talk about money, I would discuss money, they'd be making six figures. Unfortunately, the average cost, or the average salary for an educational consultant is $64,000 a year, which is not too shabby. That TikTok song is in my head. It's not a bad place to start. And as an educational consultant, you would go in and help whatever that school needs you to help with. You do have to have a master's degree, and depending on the district or the department, the Department of Education you're working for, the DOE, you would need to have some sort of certification as well. After school program directors are our next suggestion. They are coming in at $62,000 a year. One of my first jobs when I was younger was I worked for the YMCA, and the YMCA had these after school programs in public schools in New York City, and they would have these after school program directors who would work from like 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 12 to 7 p.m. So you wouldn't be working the normal teacher times. And you really wouldn't be engaging or interacting too much with a lot of the teachers. You would be coming in after they've already started their day, because you're preparing to start the afternoon sessions, and you would set up different programs, and you would make sure that the after school programs run smoothly for the students that are enrolled or staying after. It is a pretty sweet gig. I really did I don't know why I wanted that job at 16, but it does seem really exciting and really fun. You do still get to be around students and kids, and it's just, I don't know, that's one of my faves. So definitely, if you're looking to leave the classroom, but you still want to be involved with children, or maybe still want to be in a school, that is a really great option for you to look into. The next suggestion is going to be on the higher education level, but I do think that sometimes high school level can have this position, and that's going to be the student life coordinator. And so a student life coordinator is different from an RHD or an RA, because they're coming up with different programs and different activities for college students. I believe obviously they could have them in high school as well, and so that's coming up with different initiatives, different activities, different guest speakers coming on, and that's really exciting as well. They do make about $40,000 on average a year, so it is, depending on the state you're working in, it could be a different type of pay cut for you, or it could be comparable to the salary you're making as a teacher already. Last but certainly not least, we have admissions counselors or recruiters. This does require a master's degree as well as having certification. It might, depending on the state or district you're working in, require you to have a degree in counseling as well. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Or if you go the recruiter route, you will likely not need a degree in counseling. And this is really where you get to go out and interact with high school students and make sure that they're picking, the right schools for them, help them set up their goals. I love this position. It does, like I said, make about $37,000 a year. So again, depending on the state you're in, it could be a little higher, or it could be comparable to your teacher's salary. But these are 7 different positions that you can look into if you're trying to leave the classroom. That's still the TikTok dance. If you're trying to leave the classroom but still want to use your degrees because you paid good money for them, and stay in the same educational industry. And that is it. And I hope this was helpful for you. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.